The engine that dies out of nowhere at 90,000 miles, and the engine that's still running smooth past 500,000, almost never comes down to luck, the brand of the car, or how much you paid for it. The real difference comes down to a handful of habits. Most of them cost next to nothing, none of them are complicated, and there's a simple reason nobody's ever laid this out for you before. There's no profit in teaching you how to make your car outlast the dealership sales targets 3 times over. A car that refuses to break down is a customer who stops coming back to trade in for a new one. So today I'm going to walk you through, step by step, the habits that actually push ordinary cars past that 500,000 mile mark, and every single claim I make here, you can go verify for yourself. No made-up statistics, no magic formula, just what guys who actually keep engines running 500,000 miles really do. Stick around to the end because the last habit on this list is the cheapest one of all, and maybe the most important. If this kind of content has helped you look at your car differently, drop a like and subscribe to the channel. It really helps this video reach more folks who are tired of throwing money away at the shop. One honest thing before we get started. No habit guarantees your car is going to hit 500,000 miles on its own. Build quality, the climate where you live, and a little bit of luck all factor in too. What these habits do is take the driver-caused damage out of the equation, the kind of mistake that kills an engine or a transmission long before it's time. Do these things and you tilt the odds heavily in your favor. That's the real promise of this video. Let's get into it. Number 10. Use your parking brake every single time you park. This one takes 3 seconds, and almost nobody does it. When you shift into P on an automatic transmission, a small metal piece called a parking pole is what holds the entire weight of your car by itself, especially on any kind of hill or incline. Doing that for years without ever using your parking brake means dumping all that weight onto one tiny component, and that's not a cheap part to replace once it wears out or snaps. The fix comes down to the order you do things in. Come to a complete stop, pull the parking brake first, then shift into P. That moves the load onto your brake system, which is exactly where that weight belongs, instead of punishing your transmission. This works on any vehicle with a parking brake, automatic, manual, CVT, even an EV with a park mechanism. It's 3 seconds, every single time, to protect a part you only remember exists the day it breaks. Number 9. Warm up your engine by driving it, not by letting it idle. Here's another piece of advice that quietly expired decades ago. The old school wisdom said to let a cold engine idle for 5 or 10 minutes before you ever pulled out of the driveway. That was true for carbureted engines. On any modern fuel-injected engine, letting it sit and idle too long actually does more harm than good. A cold engine runs rich, it dumps extra fuel in just to keep from stalling out. And raw, unburned fuel is basically a solvent. It washes the protective oil film right off the cylinder walls while the engine's just sitting there in park. That also thins out your oil, and on top of that, the engine takes way longer to warm up idling than it does driving under a light load. The Department of Energy and the automakers themselves agree on this one. Wait about 30 seconds for the oil pressure to settle, then pull out and drive it gently. The engine warms up faster in motion, and easing into it is what keeps that rich mixture from wearing things down. Light on the gas for the first few minutes. No flooring it before that temperature gauge comes off cold. But your engine isn't the only thing quietly suffering over time. There's a fluid in your car almost nobody checks, and it's breaking down even while the car's just sitting in the driveway, without a single mile on it. Number 8. Change your brake fluid on schedule, because it's slowly poisoning itself. This is the most forgotten fluid in the entire car, and once you understand the chemistry behind it, it's genuinely a little unsettling. Brake fluid is hygroscopic. It pulls moisture out of the air continuously, even inside a sealed system. That's actually by design, so water doesn't just sit there rusting out your brake lines from the inside. The problem is that absorbed water drags down the fluid's boiling point. A study from the SAE, the Society of Automotive Engineers here in the US, found that the brake fluid in a car with just 1 year on it already carries around 2% water, and in older vehicles that number climbs past 2.5%, with a quarter of the vehicles tested hitting a dangerous level of 4% or more. When you're riding the brakes down a long grade, or sitting in stop-and-go traffic for hours, that water can boil, your pedal goes soft, and you lose stopping power at the exact moment you need it most. On top of that, water corrodes expensive components from the inside, things like your ABS module. The fix here is cheap, and we're talking about safety, not just longevity. Change your brake fluid every 2 to 3 years, regardless of mileage, because this breakdown is about time and moisture, not how many miles you've driven. Use only the fluid type listed on your reservoir cap. Acquiesce o proximo blocco. Number 7. Park in the shade and keep the heat off your car. Heat is the silent killer of every rubber and plastic part inside your vehicle, and there's a whole lot of both under that hood. Every hose, gasket, seal, and electrical connector breaks down through oxidation, and that process speeds up dramatically as the temperature climbs. Technical references put the real danger zone for natural rubber well above 200 degrees Fahrenheit, and an engine bay baking in direct sun hits that mark a lot faster than one sitting in the shade. A hose hardens and cracks, a seal turns brittle and starts leaking oil, a plastic connector goes chalky and fails, and none of it shows up until the day it strands you on the side of the road, all because of a cheap part that heat killed way before its time. You can't stop your engine from making its own heat, but you can stop the sun from piling on extra heat for 8 hours a day. Park in a garage, park in the shade. Use a windshield sunshade in the summer. In hot climates like Arizona, Texas, or Florida, this is one of the highest return zero-cost habits out there. Heat wears down rubber and plastic slowly, without ever warning you. But there's a fluid inside your transmission going through that exact same kind of breakdown, and when that one fails, the damage jumps to a whole different level. Number 6. Treat your transmission fluid as a wear item, because lifetime fluid is the most expensive myth in your car. A lot of modern vehicles roll off the lot with that famous lifetime transmission fluid. Here's the uncomfortable truth behind that promise. Lifetime, in practice, almost always means the life of the warranty, not the life of the car. Automatic transmission fluid does the same job engine oil does. It lubricates, it cools, and it breaks down from heat. And heat is really the villain here. The hotter your transmission runs, the faster that fluid breaks down. And a transmission that spends its life stuck in traffic, towing a trailer, or working in hot weather cooks its own fluid a lot faster than the manufacturer's manual ever accounts for. Burnt, broken down fluid is behind a good chunk of transmission failures out there, and a transmission rebuild easily runs $3,000 or more, and it can go well beyond that depending on the make and model. A fluid change costs a fraction of that. So change it on a sensible schedule, even if the manual claims its lifetime. A lot of specialists recommend somewhere between 30,000 and 60,000 miles, depending on how hard the car gets used. Just one important heads up. If a high-mileage transmission has never had its fluid changed, talk to a mechanic you trust about a gradual drain and refill, instead of an aggressive high-pressure flush, because shocking a transmission that's been neglected for years can create a brand new problem instead of fixing the old one. A cheap fluid change is the best insurance policy you'll ever buy for your car. Number 5. Use top-tier gasoline. This one's backed by serious lab data. And it's not about regular versus premium just by the name on the pump. It's about the actual amount of detergent inside the fuel. Some gasoline brands follow a stricter voluntary standard, one that requires way more cleaning additive than the legal minimum, and the difference is not subtle. In an independent lab study commissioned by AAA, regular gasoline, the kind without that stronger top-tier standard, left 19 times more carbon deposit buildup on intake valves and fuel injectors than top-tier gasoline did, after the equivalent of just a few thousand miles of driving. 19 times. That same study found that switching over to top-tier fuel actually cleaned up deposits that had already built up, cutting intake valve grime by 45 to over 70% in about 5,000 miles. And the price difference measured in that study was practically nothing, just a few cents a gallon. Carbon buildup chokes off airflow, messes with your fuel spray pattern, causes rough idle, hesitation, and quietly eats into your gas mileage. And this problem hits modern direct injection engines even harder. Paying a few extra cents a gallon to avoid all that is one of the easiest wins there is when it comes to making your car last. Make top-tier gasoline your default choice every time it's available at your station. Good fuel takes care of the outside of your engine. But real durability also comes down to what you put inside it on a regular basis, and that brings us to the topic that confuses car owners more than anything else. Number 4. Stop trusting the sticker and figure out your real oil change interval. Here's the trap most people get backwards. For decades, the rule was change your oil every 3,000 miles. No exceptions. That rule is a myth, It's a leftover from the 1960s and 70s, and it's still around because quick lube shops make money off you showing up 3 times more often than you actually need to. A modern engine running modern synthetic oil can usually go anywhere between 7,500 and 10,000 miles under normal use. No problem. But here's the other half of that story, and this is the half that actually saves your engine. Those longer intervals assume your driving is normal. If most of your trips are short, if you're stuck in stop-and-go traffic every day, if you're towing something, or if you live somewhere really hot or dusty, and that describes a lot of drivers out there, you're in what the automakers call severe use, and your real interval is a lot shorter, usually somewhere around 5,000 miles. The biggest mistake with oil isn't waiting too long past what the manual says. It's not even knowing which of those 2 categories you actually fall into. So do 2 things. Use the exact oil specification listed in your owner's manual, and look for the API certification seal on the bottle. Because the onboard computer that calculates your oil life assumes you're using the right spec in the first place. And pick your interval based on how you actually drive, not the optimistic number printed on that windshield sticker. Change the filter every single time. Fresh oil running through a clogged filter is half a fix, not a real one. But even the best oil in the world can't save an engine from aggressive driving. And that brings us to the habit that protects your brakes, your transmission, and your wallet, all at the same time. Number 3. Drive smooth. Coast to a stop instead of braking late. And accelerate gradually. This is the habit that separates the guys who rack up serious mileage from everybody else, and it protects 3 systems at the same time. Every time you punch the gas and then slam the brakes at the last second, you're burning fuel to build up speed that you're just going to throw away as heat through your brakes a moment later. And on top of that, you're putting your transmission through an unnecessary heat cycle for no reason. The numbers back this up. A study out of MIT, published through the Department of Energy, found that aggressive driving cuts fuel economy by 15 to 30% on the highway, and it gets even worse in stop-and-go traffic, knocking it down anywhere from 10 to 40%. Easing into the gas gradually, and letting off the pedal early so the car coasts toward a red light, saves fuel and brakes at the same time. And in any modern fuel-injected car, coasting in gear actually cuts off fuel injection completely, so you're burning absolutely nothing while you're slowing down. That gentle throttle matters even more in those first few minutes with a cold engine, which is exactly when most of the wear that shortens an engine's life actually happens. Easy on the gas. Ease off the brake early. Your brakes, your transmission, and your fuel bill all thank you for it. Number 2. Listen to your car and fix small problems early. The cheapest diagnostic tool you own is 30 seconds of paying attention. On a cold start, before you even pull out, just listen. A healthy engine settles into a smooth idle within 15 or 20 seconds. Once you know that pattern for your own car, anything different becomes valuable information. A little tick that won't go away, a faint squeal, a knock. Never ignore a knock in your engine. A rough idle that never settles down. This whole principle comes down to timing. Caught early, almost any one of these symptoms is a small, cheap fix. Ignored until it gets too loud to pretend it's not there, that same problem turns into the kind of catastrophic failure that drags other parts down with it. Same goes for a new vibration, a leak, a burning smell, a drop in gas mileage. A small problem is quiet and cheap. A big problem is loud and expensive. The habit here is simple. Just refuse to keep driving once your car has already given you that first quiet warning. Number 1. Keep a maintenance log. The single most powerful thing you can do is also the cheapest. Write everything down. Every oil change, every fluid change, every part you replace, with a date next to it. And even that small thing you noticed, a noise that showed up and disappeared, a vibration, a cold start that felt rougher than usual, all of it with a date next to it. Here's what that does, and nothing else does this for you. It turns your car's entire history into something you can actually see. When something changes, you stop guessing. You know exactly when it started, what was done at the last service right before it, and what hasn't been touched in years. Patterns that stay invisible in your memory become obvious on paper. That's how you catch the part that's about to fail before it takes 3 other parts down with it. The cheap fix instead of the disaster. There's a second payoff here too. A car with a complete, honest maintenance history is worth a lot more when it's time to sell. Buyers trust it. Mechanics trust it. And almost nobody keeps this kind of log for one simple reason. Nobody ever told them they should. It's just a notebook. It costs nothing. And it's what ties every other habit on this list together. So that's it. The habits that quietly push an ordinary car well into the hundreds of thousands of miles. And notice what's not on this list. No secret additive, no miracle product, nothing you need to buy in a bottle. Just fluid changed on schedule, heat kept away from the car, smooth driving, and paying attention to what your car's telling you. One last honest word, so nobody walks away with the wrong idea. None of this turns a poorly built car into an immortal one. And none of these habits replace basic maintenance. This is basic maintenance, just done on purpose instead of ignored. But put all these habits together, and you really do tilt the odds toward that long, quiet, drama-free life that most people chalk up to pure luck. It's not just luck. Mostly, it's habit. And looking back at this whole list, the one that splits opinion the most among guys who really know cars is that lifetime transmission fluid. Some folks swear changing it early makes zero difference. And some folks will tell you that's exactly what saved their transmission. Have you ever had a transmission problem on a car the manual claimed had lifetime fluid? Or do you just play it safe and change it early anyway? And if you want to finally understand where most people go wrong when it comes to fluid changes, check out the video popping up on your screen right now, the mistakes that quietly kill an engine, including that one detail almost everybody gets wrong when topping off the level. You're going to want to see that before your next service.